Hello and welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. We're back today with stage 6 of the Hachette Partworks release of Build the U96 U-boat. So, what are we doing in stage 6? Well, we're going to be extending the hull out a bit. Not a great deal to do today, but it's a nice little break after all the detailed work of the last couple of issues, which I'll just recap now. You can see we have there the conning tower, and of course all the detailed fibre optics, and again, just because I think it looks awesome, the machine gun that will go on the bridge deck, looking just like that. But as I say, today we're extending out the hull, so let's have a look at what we've got. So, this is what we've got in the box today. We have a piece of hull looking just like that. A lot of nice details there. We have a bag of AP screws and a bag of AM screws. We have the connector piece for the hull here. We have the lower front hydroplane box cover. We have the front hydroplane drive gear, which is a couple of teeth missing out it, so I assume it will only rotate to a certain point. And we have the forward hydroplane drive shaft, looking just like that. And that's all that's in the box today. So first, what we need is 3 of the AM screws. And there's 5 of them supplied, but we only actually need 4 as usual. So I'll get the 4 we need out, and again, keep the other as a spare. And what we're doing first is taking the hull piece, looking like this, and matching up this plastic bracket here, making sure that it fits in tightly to the 3 fixing points, like that. And it screws in to this hole in the middle, not the 2 smaller holes, the larger one there, and then these 2 holes there. So we'll get the middle one in first. Just like that. Perfect. And then the 2 side ones. So this. Two seconds. It popped out of alignment, so therefore I'll need to back that back out. I'll probably need to loosen the other one up a little bit. It was perfectly aligned, but then it's moved while I was getting my screws ready. That's not so handy. There we go. Just make sure they are all properly lined up, or as I say, the screws aren't going to go in. Loosen that off. There we go. That's better. Okay, okay. Nah, that's not lined up properly. 2 seconds. What did I say? This one's going to be nice and easy, eh? Okay. So. There we go. That's it now. You should get that snap. So apparently when I put it in before, the 2 side pieces there were sitting on top of the posts they were meant to screw into. They hadn't quite sunk down into it. I'll just make sure this one's like, yeah, that's a lot better. Okie dokie, that's more like the thing. they still go in nice and easily, but yep, avoid doing that. And again, I always leave my mistakes in. I won't cut or edit it, I promise. So there we go, and that's it, nice and secure. Obviously a plastic bracket to hold metal hull together. I'm a bit dubious on, but that's what they've decided to go with, so gonna have to assume it'll work okay. Now for the next bit, we need 2 of the AP screws out of their bag, and we're going to be attaching this piece, which is the Hydroplane Box Housing, and it is going to go on with the indent for, I'm assuming it's the gear, facing towards what's going to be the front. So it'll go on just like that. Again, there's no real indent or guide to make sure it's right other than lining the screw holes up. So make sure you do that. So what I've found to do there is I'll line the first one up just using my fingers, and I'll make sure the second one is lining up before I tighten the first screw down all the way. Because again, this is going to house the gearbox for the front hydroplane, so you don't want the gearbox to be in the wrong position. You don't want it to be facing off at an angle, and you don't want it to be too far forward or indeed too far back. So I'll tighten the other one down now. Again, it's plastic into plastic, so you don't need to over tighten it, but it looks just like that. Now what we're doing is taking the plastic gear, which looks like that. And as I say, there's a section where there's no teeth. That should be facing down, and that hole should be facing up. And we're lying it in just like that. Okay. Perfect. This is where we need our other AM screw. I think this is going to be a little bit on the fiddly side as well, because now what we're going to be doing is attaching this piece through, but we need to make sure that the hole that's drilled in it, if I can find it, right, okay, there are notches in it, there isn't actually a hole. And what should happen is when I push this through, because it goes through these holes in the side of the hull, so when I put it through the hole, it should go through the gear and come out the hole on the other side, and then that notch, just like that, you can see there it stops it going any further into the gear. And then I'm using the other AM screw into that hole to keep the hydroplane into place. Now to me that's an awful big screw. Sure that's an AM screw? Yep, okay. Very well. I just think that sticks up an awful lot. Okay, I'll leave it as they say, but I'm not overly keen on that, got to be honest with you. So now what we need to do is unplug our test board, because I still had it plugged in, and trail the wire through the central bracket here. And that should pull it all together. And now I need to line all the screw holes up and put screws into these 4 screw holes. Okay, so I'll get the 4 screws ready. Right, so make sure the holes all line up. Again, there's not a real, there's no key or anything like that to line everything up. You've just got to eyeball it more or less. And that seems to be in line. You'll know if it's not because the screw won't go in, but I would rather not face that eventuality. I would rather get the screws in right first time. Perfect. And now get the top 2 screws in. Get them in nice and tight. Make sure these are all tightened properly. Again, no need to be too harsh on them, particularly that one there was the first one I put in, so I just want to make sure it's properly seated. But there is an issue with this, and that is that it is a wee bit wobbly because there's nothing securing the bottom. Can only assume that when everything else is plated together it'll help, but at the moment that is, yeah, that is everything. And that's us for stage 6. So that's us for stage 6. As you can see, that's what she's looking like now. Again, I'm not keen on the fact that that's wobbly because it's a plastic bracket and there's nothing fixing it at the bottom, but not much we can do about it, I'm afraid. So yeah, what are we doing in kit 7? Stage 7, we're doing the motor for the forward hydroplane. So we're going to be connecting the motor and the rest of the gears to that little mechanism there. As you can see, what that will basically do is it'll turn these a little bit. Now, I don't like how high that screw is sitting, but there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. And it looks right according to the diagram. I'm just having a look just now at the next stage where they might give a kind of closer view. But yeah, that screw sits really, really high. But yeah, it does its job. It holds the rod in, and that's what it's there for. So yeah, join me for stage 7 just shortly. But until then, thanks as always for watching. Any feedback, comments, criticisms, complaints, drop them below. Do leave me a like because it does help out massively, and do subscribe to the channel for the rest of the U96 and the Titanic build. But again, thanks guys, and as always, peace out everyone.